All right, we are here with Corey Anderson, our current Bellator light heavyweight champion. How are you today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good, good. So I was wondering, how did you get into wrestling and MMA?
So I got into wrestling because my brother wrestled. My older brother wrestled, and I did everything my older brother did. So he started wrestling his freshman year in high school, and I was in third grade, and I went on the mats after that, and just stuck with it until I was done with college. And then while I was in college, Ben Askren was one of my coaches, and he brought me over to the MMA gym, and the rest has been history.
And when did you know that you were good enough to pursue this as a career?
Um, time I started training it, everybody kept telling me. Ben said it. Uh, Duke Rufus said it. My first sparring session. I'm on the phone, man. Leave it outside. Keep it outside. The first sparring session, he said it. He's like, "Oh, I can see you going to the UFC within 3 fights, man. You're just so athletic at heavyweight." Um, End up going to coach college wrestling down in Illinois shortly after that, and I ended up working with Mark Fiore, who was Matt Hughes' old coach, and he said it too. And all the guys are like, "Bro, you could be the one that can make it." We had like Brian Foster, we had Matt Veach, we had these other guys that made it, but they had a few fights. Justin Jacoby was the only other person that made it pretty early. But I think you can make it and you can go off well with it. And shortly after, I did the Ultimate Fighter after 3 fights and 6 months of training or fighting, and well, you know it, that was it.
So you mentioned the Ultimate Fighter. Describe that experience and what you learned from it.
For me, it was a vacation. At the time, I was going through some things at home, and like the day before we left, me and my lady had broke up, so I kind of just needed to get away, get out of that headspace. Being at home was not the place I needed to be because I probably would have went out and who knows what I could have done. But I actually left for the show the next morning. It was a blessing in disguise, and to go in there and meet Frank Yeager, and not just learning from Frank, but his team, Frankie, Mark, Ricardo Almeida, Steve Rivera, Brian Blue, the same people that Edson Barbosa, Marlon Moraes, the same people I still train with, work with, get questions or ask questions to, and get advice from to this day. So I learned a lot because at the time I only had 6 months, really didn't know anything other than the jab, cross, blast, double, and I was like a fresh canvas waiting to be painted, and they sure enough painted me up.
And then, what fighters did you look up to earlier in your career?
So that was the thing too. Going on the Ultimate Fighter, I didn't really know anything about any of the fighters other than Matt Hughes. I had knew Matt Hughes personally from college because he went to the same college I went to. And he'd come in and work out with us, and I met Robbie Lawler and this kid Tom. I can't remember. It was a couple one other guy that we had met through Matt, and those are the only guys I really knew as fighters. Even when I was fighting, I didn't really pay attention to fighting. I watch fights now, like every weekend when they on. I watch them to study what they can do and what there is to learn and what else I can add because the game is ever evolving. But at the time, I didn't really watch fights. I didn't follow fighting. It was something everybody told me I was good at and I could make it in. It was just that was it. My thing at the time was hanging out, living life. I never really watched sports. I would watch like dirt biking and X Games and stuff like that. Outdoors hunting things. So I didn't really follow fighting and fighters. And then when I went on the Ultimate Fighter, that was also like another culture shock because the people that would come on, I had no clue who Frank Yeager was, had no clue who BJ Penn was. When Henzo Gracie came on, everybody was like going crazy. I'm like, who is Henzo Gracie? Like, what do you mean? Who is Henzo Gracie? The original jiu-jitsu? Like, I had no clue. There were like so many people that came on the show, Ray Sappho. But I think that was also a good thing for me because when everybody else was starstruck, I was just there like it's just another guy. I don't know who this guy is. Okay. So I never really put any stock in the fact, oh, I'm hanging out and meeting and talking to this guy. I'm learning from this guy. As for I just did what I was supposed to do regardless.
Yeah, that's did that gave you an advantage overall in the Ultimate Fighter?
I think so. I think so. 'Cause a lot of guys was not starstruck, but they was putting more stock into the fact that they were just learning from such and such. Oh, I'm gonna hang out with such and such. Or I'm meeting such and such. As for pictures, getting autographs, as for me, it was just like I walk into the gym, see the person, go to the treadmill, walk in the gym, see the person who hit the bag. It wasn't like I never really stopped and wanted to talk to them. When we would work together, like doing drills or hitting pads or jujitsu, I would ask questions and pick their brain, but it was never kind of like even like in my fight against Shogun. I'd say, because at that point, when I was fighting, I had knew who he was. I started studying and realizing who Shogun was and one of the original champions. And when I got into that fight, I had a little bit too much respect for him instead of just looking at him as another opponent. In that same way as for learning, instead of sitting there looking at these guys like, oh my God, legends, I just want to hang out and say I had a chance to hang out with them. I was there to pick their brains and learn. I was trying to use them for everything they had because I didn't care about who they were because I didn't know who they were.
You mentioned today you watch a lot of fights to study and learn, as you know the game's always evolving. What fighters do you like to watch the most right now to help you with that?
I mean, it's no specific person I like watching the most. Like, to be honest, I can't really say, oh, somebody's fighting, like, oh, I got to watch him because I'm going to learn. It's just, I mean, I'm just a student of the game. I'm paying attention to it all. I'm watching it all and just seeing what they're doing, seeing different things. We got a guy like Pereira who's throwing the calf kick. You know, that's the big thing now. So you're always watching and see his footwork. I'm trying to see how's he setting up his calf kick. Is he stepping in? You know, over in Thailand, they say you don't step, just sit back and you don't turn the foot, just let it come over sideways. We got a guy like Taporia who's constantly moving pressure forward. He's always putting pressure forward. So I'm like watching him like, okay, so how does he pressure forward and stay out of danger? Like he's constantly going forward, but how is he going forward and not getting hit? And you know, you watch boxing, the same thing. You walking the guy down and say, stay behind your stick, stay behind the jab. You're learning different stuff. Now I'm practicing kicks a lot more, so I tend to watch the guys that throw a lot of kicks a lot closer. I'm watching where they turn the hip. I'm watching where they switch, and I'm watching range control. What's the distance? Are they throwing it after the cross lands clean? Like, are they going to waste a kick or are they going to follow with a hook? Or are they throwing the cross just to get them to lean back? You know, so I'm just really, I can't say a name of somebody I'm going to watch guaranteed. It's just, I watch every fight, every organization if I can, if I'm home, and just take notes from each of them. If I see something, I try to find it on YouTube and send it to one of my coaches. Like, oh, did you see this? How do they do this? What's this? Or I want to work this. I think this is nice. Another example would be like Bilal Muhammad against Leon Edwards. That takedown he kept doing on the cage. He'd have him on the cage, and when Leon would go to turn the cut, he would drop into the crotch lift and dump him to his head. That was something like I had went back to New Jersey when Khabib and Islam was there, Islam's camp in the Prudential Center, and I saw somebody do it there, and I kind of watched it, but I didn't put much stock into it. Then when I saw Bilal do it over and over and over, and how clean it was, I sent it to my coach like, "Yo, how do we do this?" As soon as I got back to Jersey, we started working it for camp. So that's kind of how I function. It's not really anybody I'm watching. It's just specific things I think that's very interesting that I can use and build off of in my fight game.
What was that experience? Watching Islam's camp.
I mean, it was crazy. I mean, not watching, but participating in it. You know, I
Yeah.
went back and I've known Khabib since my very first fight in UFC. He was in the workout room with me all week with Ali, helping me cut weight and teaching me stuff. And just training with Khabib and those guys hands on, it was kind of like similar but different. Like they go hard. That's similar. Same thing in New Jersey. We always go hard. But the thing was different was the way they train. It wasn't just like you think about our training sessions, like so Nick Catone, like, all right, Wednesday we're doing wrestling. Frank Eric, Monday we're doing jujitsu, the ground and pound. Tuesday is sparring. Thursday I do more time. As for their days, like every day we come to the gym and we're gonna do a little bit of everything. We start off with a long warm up, get a good sweat. Then we start with our just like calisthenics. Then we start shadow wrestling. Then we start wrestling. Then you get the gloves on, you punch to wrestle. All right, now we're gonna punch to wrestle jiu-jitsu. Then we get up, we put the shin pads on, a little bigger gloves. We're gonna tech spar a little bit. All right, take the stuff off, we're gonna go to the wall. All right, take everything off, we're gonna do straight jiu-jitsu. Then it's like, all right, we got 20, 25 minutes. Either gonna be live wrestling on the wall or live jiu-jitsu on the mat. Then after that, you go to the bag and you hit the bag hard and you do technique on the bag. So it's like, well, most camps, you spread everything out throughout the week to get all your arts, 2 arts in each session or each day. They do everything in one session. It's a little longer. It's not crazy hard pace all the time, but you pick up a lot and go over a lot in one practice, and that was awesome. To pick now that was a time like I was picking Khabib's brain. Like I would work with him, train with those guys, go live with Khabib, and then after sit there for like 10, 15 minutes, just ask questions, take notes. Like, oh, what did you do this? Well, you did this to me. How did you do that? Oh, I saw you do this against what's that? What were you doing? Ah, okay, that makes sense. Ah, that's how you did that in that one fight against such and such. Oh, yeah, I see you try to set that arm bar like you did against Gaethje. It's like seeing things and picking the brain. That's just amazing. If you can do that and still use that and keep that mindset to want to grow, even I've been in the game 11 years, that's how you continue to stay young in it.
Yeah, yeah. So where do you think? Do you think it's the way he trains and the way they train that separates them from the competition?
Not just the way they train and how they train, but their mindset, coming to Russia. If you know anything about Russia in that area of the world, you come into the world with two avenues. You're either going to go to the military or you're going to be a combat athlete. So, with either one, you're going to do it with all your might, and you're going to do them both to like spectacular fashion. Like, you're not doing anything to be mediocre. It's like in life here in America, if you're going to succeed in anything, if you're going to do anything, you're going to do it to the best of my ability. But I feel like over in Russia, they have no choice. On that side of the world, there's no choice. You're going to be great or you're going to be forgotten about. We're going to kick you out or something, I feel like. It's like, I don't think they have the opportunity to be bad at it. Because if they do, it's like they get disowned by their own. So,
Yeah, yeah. It seems quite fascinating. Uh, and then to switch gears a little bit, you've been vocal about your pay in Bellator being much higher than it was in the UFC. Why do you think that is the case for a lot of fighters such as yourself?
I mean, the biggest thing I know for me, one, is my manager. I got one of the best managers, Ali Abdelaziz. We all know he go gets the money. Two, I've had such a high profile career in the UFC. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was just you got these guys that go to UFC, they go 1-3, 0-2, 0-4, and they out of it. You know what I mean? As for me, I was there. I didn't like everybody, oh, you got cut. No, I didn't get cut. I actually had a fight contract signed when I left. It was just too much stuff going on, too much politics. I was tired of all the back and forth between me and the matchmakers, me and Dana, me and the media. And then I say something, and then somebody over there would come back and say something else against what I said, which wasn't true or whatever it was. Try to turn my words around as it got to the point was like, all right, it's time to go. And I left I was ranked number 4 in the world when I left in the UFC. So that for me is why I was able to leave and get more money. And then the third attribute, I'd say like give glory to God. Like he had to look out for me. Everybody say Corey bet on himself. To be honest, no, I just bet on my savior. I bet that he just told my wife, like, we're just gonna put it in God's hand and just see what happens. I'm gonna get out of this contract and we're gonna go from there. We had no clue what was gonna be next, but I had faith that like I told her, like God got us. And he did. He took care of us.
And then besides money, what do you think the biggest differences between Bellator and the UFC?
Well, now with the PFL and everything buyout or PFL Bellator collab, I can't say it as much as it was before when it was Scott Coker and Mike Hogan dealing with. I mean, right now I have no bad blood with them, but it's just they still figuring things out in a way. They're trying to figure out what's going on, who's going here, who's going to fight in PFL, who's going to fight Bellator. But when it was just strictly Bellator, the thing that stood out the most for me was communication. You know what I mean? When I was at that spot when they wanted me to fight Johnny Walker in the UFC and I didn't want to, like I just beat Glover. I just beat Lil Latifi, 2 number 3 guys. I just beat number 7. I beat number 9. Why am I gotta go back and fight an unranked guy? And all I want to do is talk to Dana and anybody, but nobody would talk to me. As for the day I signed with Bellator, I was actually in I'm on the phone, man. I'll talk to you in a second. I'll talk to you in a second. I'll talk to you in a second. I was in California with DC training, and right after I signed, I guess he was talking to Scott Coker earlier that day, like, yo, you know Scott in the area, right? He actually want to meet you. Next morning, I was having breakfast with Scott Coker, sitting there talking to him, gave him his number. 2 days later, he was messaging me, reaching out, see how things were going. The next night, get on a FaceTime with Mike Hogan. And throughout my whole career, even now, to this day, if I need anything, I can message Scott or not Scott, Mike or anybody else on the Bellator side, and they get the information back to me immediately. As for the blue shirts over the UFC were great, but the higher ups, when it was time to talk to matchmakers and Dana and all that Hunter, like I didn't even know who Hunter. I had no clue there was a such guy as Hunter Campbell. I was there for 7, 8 years, and it was literally right before I took the Johnny Walker fight. My manager called me and said, "Somebody want to meet you." Like, all right, meet me at the other side of the PI. Like, what? We go all the way upstairs to some executive room, and this guy come around the corner. I'm like, how you doing? I'm Corey Anderson. They go, Hunter Campbell. I'm like, who's Hunter Campbell? And Ali was like, oh, that's like the main guy in charge. Like, wait, I thought Dana White and these other guys, like, no. Like, I was there 9 years, but that was like the lack of communication for me with the higher ups there. Like, I had no clue there was another guy. As for before I even had a first fight in Bellator, I had met everybody from the Rich Chew guy, Scott Coker, Mike Hogan, all the people behind the scenes with the finance and backing and all that. So I knew all the moving parts. And even for one of my fights, when I was dealing with ticket sales and everything, Mike Hogan hit me up like, yo, what are you doing? Like, what you mean? And they keep saying you calling back for your code or whatever. You need to be worried about the fight. How about this? You tell your friends to call me and I'll get them their tickets. And that's when I told my boy he was talking to, like, wait, that's like kind of like a Dana White of Bellator? Like, yeah. Like, and they just let us talk. They just talking to us like normal people. Like, yeah, you are a normal person. They're normal people. Like, bro, I could never imagine they like somebody in that statue would like talk to somebody like us. And that for me hit home. It was like, because I've always said, no matter where I've been, how much money I've made, and all the accomplishments I had, I tell everybody when I go places, and they say, oh, you're famous. Like, don't say that. I hate famous. I hate saying I'm a celebrity. I'm just like you. You only know me because you see me on TV. And the fact that Bellator, they all acted that way, from the high ups to the bottom lows to the people that clean the mats when we working out, everybody had the same personality. They treated you the same. Nobody wanted to be treated like a rock star. Nobody needed red carpets rolled out for them. And for me, that was the biggest takeaway for me going over to Bellator. You got treated like an actual person and not just a number.
Wow, yeah. Do you think it's for the UFC? It's just because it's such a large organization. That's the way that is. Or
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's like they tell me, it's in the business of making stars and putting butts in the seats. So if you're not one of those people, and they such a big organization, they always looking for that next star. So they're not gonna go back and waste time just to talk to somebody they don't think gonna be a star. You know what I mean? They got too much time dealing with the Sean O'Malley, the Conor McGregor, the Jon Jones, the Lear Tapoyas, the Max Holloway, the Justin Gaethjes. You know, and you see it in their pay scales. Like I know Justin Gaethje personally. Like we've done veteran hunts together. We did a celebrity softball game together. I've known him when he was back in World Series of Fighting. His style was always exciting, and now he's here. And I've talked to him after fights, and like the pay scale is different for him because his fighting style. He's a human highlight. People are going to pay to see him. As for a person like me in UFC, my style isn't going to be a highlight style. My style is just to win. And that's why some people get more and some people don't. And then I went to Bellator, and my resume, they didn't care about how I fought. That was one of the things I talked to Scott Coker with. Like, I don't want to be here and be flashy. I just want to fight. I just want to win. And he said straight there, shook my hand. As he shook my hand, said, Mr. Anthony, I'm telling you right now, you come over here and you do exactly what you're supposed to do and win. You're going to get what you're worth, and you're going to move forward to the title fight. I don't care if it's exciting or not. You do what you're supposed to do. I promise you, you'll get your way to a title shot. That's what it was for me. That was a deciding factor. It was time to start a new beginning.
so you mentioned how you had Johnny Walker, Glover Teixeira pretty early on, and that was a very difficult path for you to try to get a title shot in the UFC. Why do you think it was that way in comparison to other fighters who kind of rise up those ranks quickly?
Like I just told you, they're exciting. My style was never exciting. I never deemed to be exciting. When I got in the game, I said I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna smash everybody in front of me. That was it. Never said I was gonna do it in dominant or in highlight fashion. I just said I was gonna do it in dominant fashion to where I win. There's no question when the scorecard was getting ready if I won or not. And that was one confidence I always had. If I won by decision, it was really never I never really worried about it's gonna be close. It was I dominated to the point where I know, but it wasn't finishing people, and that's what it was. That's what they wanted. When I met with Hunter Campbell that time before the Johnny Walker fight, he said it point blank. Because I asked him like, "Yo, what I gotta do to get a title fight?" He said, "We gotta get the needle to move for you, man. That's it. You're just not that exciting of a fighter, so people don't want to see you fight." Like, and he said it, this is his words verbatim. He said, "I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you're not the one that should be in line to fight Jon Jones next. Like everybody in the company agrees, like you are one of the, if not the guy that should be fighting Jon Jones next. The problem is we can't book that fight because you don't sell tickets. If you can make some excitement or get the media behind you and everything, then we can get it. But that's why we give you the Johnny Walker fight." Now, my next question, like, okay, so if Johnny Walker beats me, what happens? Like with you, we don't know. I said, okay, what happens with Johnny Walker if he beats me? Well, if Johnny beats you, he gets a title fight. Like, wait, he's not even ranked yet, but if he beats me, he gets a title fight. And if I beat him, we don't know. Like Johnny's exciting. He's got over 1 million followers and people love him. They already talking about him. We're in the game to put butts in the seats. It's not about who's the best anymore. It's about who's gonna make us the most money.
Wow, yeah,
That's it.
yeah, that's crazy. You
Yeah.
know, you definitely deserve that shot against Jon Jones. I'm a firm believer of that. You know, to switch gears a little bit again. You know, when do you think you're going to return to the octagon next?
Well, so we're supposed to fight on October 19th. That was the original plan. Then they're trying to move it to November. But like I said, with all the things getting shuffled around, the mood right now between PFL and Bellator, you see cars getting canceled. They still shuffling things around. So last I heard, they're saying beginning of the year is January. That's the plan. I've talked to a couple people in the marketing. They all trying to push something in January, something big coming in January. I've talked to a couple other fighters, Derek Brunson and other guys that also said when they talked to them, January was thrown out there. So fingers crossed, January is the date. I'm training daily, 2 a day still. Like I got to fight. Just stay ready for whatever. But I would like to get in January, and that way, hopefully, I got enough time to get another one in before the end of the year. You know, my really go. I want to defend this belt, and then I really want that fight with Nemkov. So whether he comes 205 or if I defend it once, I can go up to heavyweight. I get one fight there, and then go fight for the heavyweight title. If he beats Bader or he's fighting Bader, whatever it is. But that's the fight. I for me to have peace with my career, I think that's the one I have to have back.
So for kind of somewhat answers my next question, but for your goals for 2025, is it to get that third fight, or you know, or just what defend the belt? You know, do you want to enter a PFL tournament? What do you think you want to do next year or so?
Win. That's it. Keep winning. Win and keep stacking this money for my family. I really want the Vadim Nemkov fight, but I'm not gonna stop this train from moving if I can't get it. You know what I mean? If it's some hoops I gotta jump through or they want me to sit and wait for a while, I keep defending 205 belt till the opportunity come. The biggest thing though for me is to keep that belt. You know what I mean? My plan from here on out is to have the belt until the day I say, all right, it's done, I'm done. I'll finish with the belt. I did what I had to do. Adapted to every situation. Evolved in every camp. So no matter who they bring to me, I'm ready to compete, beat, and dominate everybody they put in front of me. And then hopefully, while doing that, I also get a chance for a third fight. You know what I mean? The goal, number one, I told my manager, my thing is number one priority, take care of my family. Number two priority was to get the belt. Well, now we got the belt. Now the priority is to keep the belt. Keep the belt, take care of my family, and the cherry on top would be that third fight against Nemkov. It'd be great if it was for a 205 belt, but if not, I go up to heavyweight. I don't care. You can run, you can hide, but I'm gonna find you.
And then, who is your dream opponent?
Jon Jones.
So how do you think you know, you would attack the fight with Jon Jones? What would be your plan for that?
The same way I fight everybody. There's no secret to my style. Pressure, gas tank, a bunch of fakes, up and down, throw the hands, get the shot, you defend the shot, throw the hands until I get you down. If I don't get you down, I keep punching, I wear you down. And eventually you gonna crumble. And Because I've known people that train with Jon Jones that end up coming to help me with camp, and they all even said it. I've had legends like Rashad Evans. I've had DC, and they all said the same thing. You are the worst style for Jon Jones. Guys that fought John, guys that train with John, like everything you do very well will give him problems because he's usually long. I'm not as tall as him, but my arms are super long. I can reach you. He usually has good gas tank. Well, everybody know I've never been tired in a fight. I've never even had a point where I had to second guess my gas tank or even need a pep talk to get me going. Like 5 rounds, 3 rounds, I finished the fight like I just started. So the pace and the reach alone would be a problem. And then once you add the wrestling, the only person he fought that could wrestle really well was DC. But what he had on DC was the reach and the height. As for he doesn't have the reach on me, and the height is only gonna make it even easier for me to get to his legs. So that is how I would go into that fight. The greatest thing about Jon Jones is attributes. Now, if I can use my attributes to match his and to defeat his with some of the things I have, that's when you make him a human being just like everybody else.
And then, would you believe he is the greatest fighter in MMA of all time? Track record wise.
It's hard to say when you once you taint your career with the drugs and PEDs and everything else. It's hard to say were you natural when you did it all the time. Yeah, we didn't catch you on that one. Maybe you got away with it, or maybe you didn't cheat that one. But now it's that we in the limbo. And you can't say it because you've been caught not once, you got caught twice with the stuff in your system. So it's like, mm, like how do we know? Like that was actual natural ability. What he did was amazing. Nothing you can't take away anything he did. You can't take away none of his fights and the accomplishments he had. But at the same time, when you think about the drugs, especially somebody like me, I coach college wrestling. I teach fair sportsmanship. You don't cheat. You don't do anything. You always do what you're supposed to do to win. If you lose, just like tonight, get him the next time. I don't smoke weed. I don't drink. I drink a little alcohol. So when I hear somebody that did all that and it come out that they were doing steroids, it's kind of like, then you got to wonder. All that
Yeah.
time, what they actually doing? Do they doing drugs then too? Like, could they been that good because of that? Like I said, I'll never take away what he did, what he accomplished in the case, but at the same time, it's just kind of in my head, it's tainted. It ain't as amazing as it was before. Put it that way.
I agree with that. And do you have any thoughts on his upcoming fight with Stipe Miocic?
To be honest, no. Just I don't think many people have any thoughts on it because it's just the fight's been drug out so long. I'm a huge fan of Stipe. Well, I was there when he won the belt in 196 or 198 in Brazil. That's when I fought Shogun Hu, and that's when I really became hung out with him that night. After him and his family became a really good, really big fan of him, and he was a really good family man. And but it's now to the point where he could prove me wrong, but I just feel like it's been so long. He's been out, and Father Time, you can't beat that. One thing we can't get back is time. I just feel like it's a great name to have on anybody's resume if you beat Stipe or even Jon Jones. But it's like he's been around for so long. I don't know if it's gonna be as valuable as it would have been 3-4 years ago when the fight where everybody would like the fight to happen. So I don't really think I keep even forgetting the fight is coming up to be honest. You just said that, but curious to see how it's gonna go.
Yeah, me too. Do you think Tom Aspinall has a shot at beating Jon Jones?
Oh yeah. Yes. Tom Aspinall is a dang monster. He is dang good. Like that kid, he does everything well. Everything well. The biggest thing I love about the way he moves. If you know me, I'm all about moving in between my strikes, moving instead of strikes. But man, the way he moved, his precision, his striking off of moving, that's what made me a fan of him, really. Because I move and strike, but sometimes I miss. Sometimes my range is off with the movement. But with his movement, his strikes, it's like he's always at the perfect range, and he's always. You would think he's got 100% accuracy because I feel like every time he punches, it lands. Like the Curtis Blades fight, I was going for Curtis Blades because that's my guy. We both JUCO kids. When I first started coaching, he was the first kid I recruited, so I got to know him a little bit, and I wanted him to get that belt. But man, the way like Tom Aspinall just one shot turns it on. Like I said, the precision. Curtis was coming after him all over, and I know he just stopped and turned. And yeah, like you can't admire it, and you can't not admire what he does and his style for being as big as he is. Like I would love to see him get the fight against Jones or Stipe and prove it, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Right? And this year, you defeated Carl Moore to become the Bellator light heavyweight champion. Describe the build up to that fight and the feeling of accomplishing your dream of becoming champion.
So the build up on the fight was more just emotion and build up in myself. Like my third time for the belt. Uh, I've always said third time's a charm. 3 strikes you're out. There's 2 different ways you look at it. If I go out there and lose this one, I doubt they're gonna give me another title fight. And if I go out here, I could win on my third try. So I didn't put too much stock in the fact that it was against Carl Moore. Not saying that he wasn't a notable name or whatever, but it was more. I put more pressure on myself than it did worrying about the opponent. Like I knew 100% I was better than Carl Moore because I believe I'm the best in the world. So that wasn't the problem. The thing was, a coach told me years ago. Even DC said it. After I got in train with DC and I left, like, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's no reason why you shouldn't be a champion wherever you are at the end of this year. Your biggest problem is you make mistakes. You get so far ahead of yourself that you make mistakes and you slip up and you cost yourself a fight. Go back and watch all your fights. You've never been beat up. Nobody's ever put it to Corey Anderson. They've always caught Corey Anderson. You make mistakes. You stop doing that, you're gonna be phenomenal. And going into that fight, I was very worried about making a mistake. And the reason why, he was southpaw. I've trained with southpaws my whole life. My best friend, training partner, Carl Robeson, southpaw. But for some reason, when I saw that bout agreement, I saw the name and realized he's southpaw, in my head, I started second guessing things. And kind of the build up for that was it. The build up was the southpaw aspect. I would get Kyle Dawkins in the old form UFC southpaw. Flying all the southpaws from Philly, New York, New Jersey, flying in from Miami, Vegas. I was flying people in all the time, getting looks. And I was doing dang well handling the southpaw. Even coaches like, bro, you look good for not being comfortable with the southpaw. And then come fight week. Come to fight, it's just like everything kind of went haywire. Like I couldn't remember how to do anything, which is why I just made it such a wrestling match. I remember Frankie said in the middle, like, bro, we know you better than this kid. You can beat this kid anywhere. Why are you having such a problem right now, recognizing what's going on? He's like, how about this? You're a wrestler, right? Maul this mother effer. And that's what they like, don't worry about striking. Go maul this mother effer. And that's exactly what we did. I just went out there like, all right, you're right. The goal is to win the belt. We ain't gotta look fascinating. We ain't gotta look impressed. Just win. So I just went out there and did what I did. Wrestle. But then that almost cost me my mistake. As we all remember, he got that armbar in the 3rd round, and it was probably another second from just letting it snap. My God, it happened fast, but in my mind, it was hurting. My elbow hurt for probably a good month and a half, and I was about to forget it. I ain't gonna tap. If I lose, he gonna break it. And then I know right before it broke, I'm like, I know this hurt too much. I'm getting out of here. I was like, all right, we're gonna win. I'm not letting it slip out of my fingers. We're here. 3rd round, it's a wrap. I'm putting it away. That was.
Would you describe that as the toughest fight of your career?
No. The toughest mental battle of my career, but not the toughest fight by a long shot. No. I've had
the toughest fight of your career was.
Toughest fight of my career, I'd probably say is it Glover? Huh? Oh yeah. My wife just reminded me. Tom Lawler. There you go. I forgot about that one. Southpaw. That was the first time fighting a southpaw, dealing with that. And that was one I had to dig deep because he hurt me like in the first 20 seconds of the fight. He about put me to sleep. Like I remember that first one, hit me with that check hook, that shovel hook, and I saw 6 of them. It wasn't just 3, it was a bunch of them circling me. And I was like, yo, what the heck? I remember looking at the clock and I saw like it was only 45 seconds in. And in my head, I thought, there's no effing way I'm getting finished within a minute. Put my hands up, grabbed them for a second to get my bearings back. And even then, it was just, but again, that was another one when the fight was over. Come to find out he was on PEDs, he was on a banned substance. Like I did everything I do well, my cardio, everything. I remember looking at the coaches in between rounds, like, yo, he's not getting tired. Most guys get tired. He's not getting tired. I can't get my takedowns. He's keep catching me with this dang hook. And he's coming with a cross right after. And I heard third round, coach like, just keep doing what you're doing. And third round, I finally got the takedown. And when I took him down, I heard him go, and it was like a minute and a half left. And I was like, oh, he's finally done. He's not fighting no more. He's not fighting. Let's just keep him down and finish this off. Like, oh man. But that was probably the toughest fight I had because everything I threw, he countered back. I was always the guy that finished combos. My thing is T on T. Finish the combo. Always finish the combo. But when I would finish, he would come back. It was like a volley. So it was frustrating in the fact, like, I'm not used to this. Then I would shoot and he would defend it. I'm not used to guys defending my shots that much. And he had such strong hips. And that check shovel hook he kept throwing. It kept landing and kept landing. And then Mark Henry, being the mad scientist he is, he called the audible. Day B, that was a code we worked years ago. And it happened to work. And it just worked. And we did it over and over and over for the last 3 rounds until he started dwindling. And we got the takedown. So.
And then you said that he tested positive for PEDs after that fight. Do you think there should be, more punishment to, have fighters take PEDs less? It seems to be a pretty common issue in the sports still.
To be honest, I don't put no stock in it. It was like that fight. You can take it if you want to. Still gonna beat you. There's a reason why you do something. If you take something like that, I mean you got a lack of heart and mental toughness. You don't believe in what you're capable of doing on your own. So you gotta rely on the drug to get you there. I've never had that. And my thing is, I tell them, I'll take whatever you want. I'm still gonna break you. And eventually, just like I did that, I kept doing it. And eventually you're gonna break because this is natural. You can't cheat hard work. That's just like cutting weight. Everybody do the sauna and the bath. I don't do that. I just work out. What? Why do you do that? Can't cheat hard work. If I work hard to get this weight off, that's gonna add up to the fight. And I'm gonna think about that. The work I put in to get here. I don't want to take the easy way out of anything. And that's just, if you take the easy way, not saying like cutting weight, taking the easy way. But for me, it's a mental battle on myself. Like, I'm gonna do everything the hard way. And that way you can't defeat. I don't care if you're cheating, no matter what you're doing. You might beat me, but you won't defeat me because I won't regret working hard. I didn't take the easy way for anything.
And then my final question for you is, what do you want your legacy throughout your MMA career to be?
Corey worked hard. Corey put his nose at the grindstone. He did exactly what he do. He never sold his soul for the devil. He never found some, what's what I'm looking for, a niche or a personality to become. I didn't pull a Kobe Covington where he was threatening to let me go and I start acting a certain way just so I can get more money and stay there and get the clout and the fame. The biggest thing for Corey stuck to who Corey was. From the day he stepped in the gym to the day he retired, he never switched up. The same people he went in the game with, he came out the game with. He didn't add any friends. He didn't lose any friends. He got to the gym every day. He worked hard. And he did it his way. That's it. Ricardo Almeida said the best. Like, you need to write a book one day that I did it my way. Like, there's not many people that can come in the game, come in and leave the same way they came in and didn't switch up anything. And that's what I want my legacy to be. And they tell you got to do this. They tell you got to act like this. They tell you need to do this. You lose a fight, you need to find a new team. I never lost my team. I lost, but it wasn't my team's fault. So why am I punishing them? I stuck to my guns. I stuck to the people, and I made it to the top. That's it. That's all my legacy to be. Corey stayed true to himself. Never switched up. He still made it.
Well, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. This was a great interview, and I wish you the best of luck. For getting to fight in 2024. If it's in early 2025.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you having me. It was a fun interview, and you guys have a good one.
Of course, anytime. All right.
Later.
Thank you.